Don Lemon, past his prime. It's too bad. And now he's on his own, where his lack of talent shows.
But CNN is generally considered left.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Why do I say CNN is generally considered left? I think if you look at any sort of media survey of what is on the left or right, I think they would say, like, for example, Fox is on the right and CNN is on the left.
Yeah. So that's what is it?
Am I missing something here?
So Lemon doesn't think CNN's on the left. That should kind of tell you exactly how ignorant he is. This is how Lemon spiked the football on air after Trump got banned from Twitter. Watch.
The president's Twitter feed, the one he has been permanently barred from, the one he is whining about how they've taken away his freedom of speech. The fact is, these are private companies. They have no obligation to have anyone on their platforms.
Now Don's singing a different tune after Elon canceled the partnership.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, it seems like Don Lemon has gone off the rails. Now, look, this man is probably the gayest man to ever be fired from CNN, and I'm not saying that as a personal attack. I think he would wear it as a badge of pride. He came out on his platform and said that white men were the biggest threat to America at a certain time, allegedly. And then came to find out that he was laid up with a white man himself. Bro, what are you talking about? Well, here he is talking again, saying Donald Trump supporters are a cult. We find it hard to follow you, Don Lemon. We find it hard to follow your train of thought, your pattern of thinking. As you opine out here on certain things and you try to maintain your presence out here being excised from CNN, you're out here on your own now, and it looks like it's a bit of a struggle. But we all in the struggle. We're not going to fault you for that. But we're looking at what you're saying. Finding it hard to understand what you're saying because we looking at what you're doing. And things don't seem to be lining up. You advocate for these left-wing policies. You advocate against Donald Trump. You advocate against America. And that's why average, everyday Americans don't understand you, don't feel you, don't rock with you, because they're looking at you and saying, bro, your content don't resonate with us. Because you are advocating for things that are anti-American, that are anti-MAGA. We want to make America great again. We want to put America first. And it's people like you, Don Lemon, who are out here advocating for things that are anti-American. We don't understand where you coming from, bruh, sis, sir, ma'am. We don't understand your kind. So when you get out here bumping your gums, we get to scratching our head and say, what is Don talking about? It don't make sense. It don't fit in. It don't sit right with average, everyday Americans.
And you don't get it. How stupid and dumb are you?
'Tis the season to be merry. Former CNN host Don Lemon goes on an expletive-laden rant about President Trump's supporters over the H-1B visa feud with Elon Musk. Tiffany Marie Brannon is a political strategist and the host of TMB Problems podcast, and she joins me now. Tiffany, and the left wonders why people say they have Trump derangement syndrome.
Tell me about it. It's completely out of control. I mean, call us stupid and, it's just not even a matter of contention at this point.
But lest you think it's just Mr. Lemon, it's not just sour grapes from that lemon. We have two other folks who are making their voices heard, political commentators on the left, Jennifer Rubin from the Washington Post and Rick Wilson from the Lincoln Project. You know, those people that hate Donald Trump and literally every single thing he does. Take a listen.
All those MAGA readers out there, now you'll notice the contradiction in terms, MAGA readers would pick up the Washington Post and they would have more readers. What is the logical fallacy here? Yes, reader.
The guy with the GED and his fake Oakley sunglasses and his goatee and his pickup truck, the universal Twitter bro, that guy's thinking to himself, oh, well, I could have been the senior software designer at Google if only it weren't for DEI or immigration.
Wait for Trump to pull this off is to make the argument that it's all about America. It's all about America. And anything that contributes to America being number one is something that we should support. That has to be his argument. And it gets very, very interesting because now it's a debate. And having that debate, here's where the advantage is. At least in the Trump administration, there appears to be a debate allowed. What has ailed the Democrats? It's not an ideology alone. It's not their feelings alone. It's the fact that if you refuted what they said, if you are part of their party, cancel culture kicked in. If you were not a part of their party, it was ostracism and it was ultimately hate mongering and fear mongering that were thrown into the equation. There was no room for a debate. And enough voices weren't being heard. Diversity amongst those voices not being heard. You're black, you're white, you're gay, you're lesbian, you're heterosexual, you're transgender. It don't matter. You still had to have one form of thinking if you fell under their umbrella. Otherwise, you were pushed out. If Trump is saying there needs to be a healthy debate about America first, meaning the country, or America first, meaning people born in this country, and sacrificing the best that may exist out there across the globe, and that's a discussion that's worth having, all of a sudden that opens the floodgates for an abundance of other things that we can discuss. But most importantly, I agree with the idea of there being an open, robust debate about it because it is not something that the Democrats allow. The Democrats stopped letting people decide. One could easily argue. Their mentality seemed to be you must obey the party line or you're out in your ass. That seemed to be what they were saying. Censorship, cancel culture. There was no debate. That's why they're home. And Donald Trump is on his way back to the White House.
Look, everything's a possibility, right? And so let me get to the core why I love all of this. Because guys, in the bad old days, whether it was Mitch McConnell as the leader of the Republican Party or George W. Bush or Dick Cheney or Donald Trump in his first term, they would just give an order and all the Republicans would go, yes, sir, right? And now orders are given and people go, maybe, sir, but maybe not. And then we get into this giant messy fight. That is way better than one person gives an order, one person's completely in charge, and everybody is in a cult and they do exactly what they're told, right?
Well, as you can see, Stephen A. Smith disagrees with what Don Lemon is out here talking about. Stephen A., we know, is a fence rider. The fence sitter. He trying to play both sides against the middle. We understand he trying to stay right there down the line to keep himself relevant in modern day media. We ain't trying to hold that against you, but I'm glad that you stepped out here and spoke against the principles that Don Lemon is trying to put out here amongst the blackity blacks. It's foolishness, and I'm glad that you could see it for what it was. And on top of that, y'all, Don Lemon came back out on his social media platform and said, I've been facing blowback. Well, good. I'm glad that the community has risen up and given this man some heat, giving him some blowback. Because we know that Don is on that foolishness, even on his own, even as an independent, he's still with that foolishness. We need him to come around. We need him to understand where we coming from, what we talking about. Bruh, you stepping off into conversations that you don't know nothing about because you've been out there hanging with them folk. And you thought that them folks embraced you, but there came a day when they fired your blackity black tail. You got that, what they call the Negro wake-up call? You got that thing. And it hit like it always hit with everybody. Everybody finds out someday, whether it's Don Lemon or P. Diddy, everybody finds out someday that you might be talking too big for your britches. You might be out here thinking you have been crowned a king amongst them folks. But at some point, if they crown you, they can uncrown you, Don Lemon.
Now, let me just say this. I said something
in reference to, I was responding to the MAGA folks who were being racist in regards to the gentleman that Donald Trump nominated to be the head of AI. They were on the internet, look it up yourself, being very racist and very vitriolic about Donald Trump appointing this person. And Vivek Ramaswamy got involved, and then he insulted, according to them, the MAGA people. Okay? So, as always, everybody gets all butthurt. I'm not referring to all of Trump supporters. I'm talking to the MAGA brain people who will say and do anything to make excuses for any behavior that Donald Trump does, any bad behavior that the MAGA movement does. So, yes, I stand by my words. And if you don't like what I said, then too effing bad. I don't care. And let me point the hypocrisy out to you, because you guys always say, we are not voting for what? A pastor in chief. Sometimes I have an issue with some of the things that he says. It's true. I don't like how he says it, but it's true. So you have to have the same standards for other people that you have for your guy. Some of you, the cult leader, okay? You guys have a higher, this is how messed up you are. You have a higher expectation of me, an independent journalist, a former cable news host, than you do for the person who sits in the Oval Office. Because his mouth is worse than mine. He calls everybody dumb. He calls black women dumb. He's called me dumb. He calls people stupid. He's called Kamala Harris stupid. He's called her names. And he's used profanity against athletes. He called them sons of bees. He calls people out of their names all the time. And you love it. But when someone says the truth about you, you get all butthurt and you get all in your feelings. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. What's good for the Donald is good for the Don.
Y'all, let me know what you think about this and Don Lemon crashing out for the left wing. This dude done lost his mind out here, and he seemed like he gonna stand on it. He 10 toes down for the left wing Democrat plantation. Okay, Don Lemon, well, I can't rock with you, bro. But y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.